welcome back. Cage Kiplinger, Logan Hubert. This is the KNL Sports Huddle, episode number 48. Recording this on Tuesday, February 3rd. Lots to get to today. Before we do that, hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Every bit helps. Follow us on Spotify, the link in our YouTube channel description for that. Check us out on Instagram at HuddleKL Sports for breaking news and clips from our episodes. Today, be going over full Super Bowl preview for Super Bowl LX, turning over every nook and cranny there. A couple of days away also from the NBA trade deadline. So we'll dive into the latest trade buzz, and then we list the greatest players to be dealt at the deadline. And then in college basketball, we're going to be looking back at a matchup that happened over the weekend that had a lot of NBA execs watching. Logan, good to see you again. Get us started today when you're ready.
Absolutely, sir. Okay, starting off with headline number one. We are in the tennis world as the Australian Open happened and Carlos Alcaraz became the youngest tennis player to complete the career Grand Slam, beating veteran Novak Djokovic. I mean, that accomplishment speaks for itself. And taking down the big dog and Djokovic, it just kind of puts the cherry on top.
Yeah, and the next tournament, I believe it's Wimbledon, or no, it's the French Open, and Sinner's going to have an opportunity to complete the Grand Slam there. So hopefully we get a matchup between him and Alcaraz for that one.
That would be storybook. In the golf world, Justin Rose won the Farmers Insurance Open, winning by 7 strokes. At 23 under, he really took Thursday by storm. He shot a 62 on Thursday and just really kind of never looked back. 65, 68, and just held the fort down with the 70. So, pretty good performance by the veteran Englishman, as he hopefully, I hope for his sake, he wins the Masters this year because he's come so close. That would be pretty nice.
And shouts out to Brooks Koepka making the cut in his first tournament back to PGA.
Absolutely. And then MLB, we have had some big time offseason moves. Luis Arias joins the San Francisco Giants on a 1-year deal. Eugenio Suarez heads back to Cincy as the Reds land arguably the last big bat on the market. He was on the Reds at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's going back to him.
Yeah, he's going back to And then, the Mariners land a guy from the Cardinals, Brendan Donovan, in a 3-team trade with the Tampa Bay Rays. What's your opinion on that? You just happy the Cardinals are cleaning it up? Or?
I kind of hoped we would have hung on to him. I liked getting rid of Arenado and Contreras and all the older guys, older vets. That was the one bat I hoped that they would have been able to just keep and build around, but it's a full clean slate going into this season.
Yep. About time for the Cardinals. And then in the NBA, Paul George was suspended 25 games for violating the NBA's anti-drug policy. Last year, this really wouldn't have been much of a news, but I mean, Sixers are 6th in the East. They have a 28-21 record, and when George has played, he hasn't played too much. He's only played and started in 27 games, but he has averaged a helpful 16 points per game. Big for the Sixers and big for George because there's really not too much left in the tank for him, and this could be one of his last decent years left.
Yeah, just when you think the Sixers are riding high, first time in a while, something like this happens. So just classic Philadelphia Sixers news. All right. Thank you, Logan. Now let's move on to our signature segment. We had to skip it last week because we wanted to hold off. The spread has not moved, but we've got Super Bowl 60, Seahawks, Patriots. We previewed it a little bit just from a game standpoint last week, but let's dig into some of the numbers here and give our picks. This is the third time since 1990 where favorites went 6-0 straight up in the divisional round and the conference championship. With 1991 and 2004, and the 6th time overall in the Super Bowl era. In the Super Bowl for those 5 previous seasons, the favorites went 5-0 straight up, 4-1 against the spread. Underdogs, though, have excelled in the Super Bowl recently. Since 2004, they are 15-7 against the spread, and they have covered the spread in 5 straight Super Bowls dating back to 2020, including winning 3 straight outright for the last 5 games. So some trends for both sides here. I'm going to just go start off with my pick. I'm going with Patriots at plus 4.5. My final score for this game is looking at like 23-20, 24-21. That's kind of where I see this one landing. For all the reasons I just mentioned, but I just think we've been waiting for that moment where Sam Darnold maybe has a hiccup and keeps the team in the game. And I think this is one of those situations where we could see. I'm putting, as far as a prop bet, I'm definitely laying some cheese on Sam Darnold to throw an interception, and that could really turn the tide in this game. He did lead the league in turnovers this year, so it's a pretty decent bet. So, and then just what we've seen from the New England Patriots as far as playing on the road. I know both teams are on the road in this game, but the Patriots just been really good on the road, and I think Mike Vrabel is going to get this team ready to go. What do you think?
I like the Darnold bet. That's what I put too. I could see him seeing ghosts again. Okay, so after watching both these teams this postseason, really all year, I think Seattle's just the better team in just about every facet. Offense, defense is close. Special teams, coaching, I'd say pretty even. But I mean, especially the postseason, offensively, yeah. I mean, New England's offense has left a lot to be desired. Seattle's has been did really well against a banged up 49ers defense, but they did what they were supposed to. And then against a decent, pretty good Rams defense, they put up 31 points. So, yeah, and I think Seattle's just better in just about every aspect. However, Patriots luck and Patriots devil magic is unmatched. Nothing can stop it. Darnold will be seeing ghosts this game just because he is going to turn it over, and the Patriots defense will give Drake May short fields, and then Drake May will throw a couple touchdown passes and get all the praise and win MVP. I take the Patriots at plus 4.5. I like them to win because I will never bet against Patriots devil magic again, despite I think Seattle is clearly the better team. But I also thought Denver was clearly the better team last week if they would have just had a healthy quarterback. Right. But Patriots magic is unmatched, so give me New England plus 4.5 and to win this game.
Also, Patriots are 5-0 this season in their white jerseys, which they're going to be donning in this in the Super Bowl.
Another
game.
thing, Seattle is by far the best team the Patriots have played all year. Like it's not even close. Buffalo would probably be the second closest. You'd like to say the Broncos were, but without a quarterback, they were. No. But yeah, I mean, Patriots really didn't play any of the AFC juggernauts this year. In the regular season, fully healthy. They played the whole entire NFC South plus the Giants, so they really faced nobody good in the NFC. So yeah, this is by a mile, I think, the best team they've played this year. So that is another thing to consider. But yeah, I can't bet against whatever sacrifice was made in New England 25 years ago.
Yeah. I think we agree the Seattle defense is really good, one of the best in the league, but it's not a Houston Texans defense. It's not a defense that gets a lot of sacks. They do get pressure, but they're more of a, I guess you could say a bend but don't break type of defense, where I think the Patriots could work the ball up the field against them. So, I don't think this is a situation where think this is just going to be a 10-7 game like New England had to deal with in the snow game. So yeah, I like the Patriots in this. I still have Seattle winning this one 23-20, but I like Patriots to have a big play. Maybe Trevion Henderson gets one of his big explosive runs that flips this game on its head. But Seattle still ultimately coming away with it. But yeah, the way it's happened for New England this season, the way their schedule has turned out. I mean, you look at their strength of schedule. You could spin a narrative that's almost helped them to stay healthy, to not have to exert so much against a pretty easy schedule. Looking at their combined winning percentage of their opponents, the Patriots are at a minus 4.49. Only 2 teams in Super Bowl history have won it all with this easy of a strength of schedule: the 2000 Rams and the 71 Colts. But it's the Patriots, so I agree with you. I hope it's a close game. That's probably another reason why I'm picking the spread on the Patriots side. I do want this to be a good game in Seattle, to not just run away with it. So yeah, I think I didn't think we'd be in agreement on our Super Bowl pick, but it looks like we are.
It worked last week. It worked 2 weeks ago.
It did. It did.
Worked 2 weeks ago. I'm looking at the forecast. I haven't had a chance to look at it. Looks like it should be pristine conditions, 65, partly cloudy. England might not be used to that because their last 3 playoff games have been in the cold or in the snow. They might not be used to that.
There's also a trend. I didn't write this one down, but there's a trend about like teams that travel east or travel west for the Super Bowl have done really well the past like decade or so. So I think Seattle technically is traveling west in some respect, but not as much as New England is.
Yeah, I mean, Denver was really the only time the Patriots even traveled out west at all this year. I'm pretty sure, because but the NFC said, I mean, I mean, that was just another easy thing about their regular season schedule. They went out, won an ugly game against Denver. Their defense traveled well, I will say that. Their offense did not, but it wasn't good conditions. So, but I mean, I don't think the travel thing really means too much because they have 2 weeks to prepare, and they're already there. They're already used to it. So, I don't put too much stock into that.
And the fact that I really like the Patriots' run defense. They've shown me a lot this playoff. The fact that Seattle's going to be a little short-handed in the run game with Charbonnet being out of this one's. It's going to be all on Walker to do that. I actually would. Well, let's get into our prop bets now.
I will say Smith and Jigba is by far the best receiver the Patriots have faced this postseason. Cortland Sutton probably the next closest, but he was hampered by bad quarterback play, so can't really. But he's not on the same level as Jackson Smith and Jigba, so that'll be another wrinkle for the Patriots to deal with. Like I said, I feel like the Patriots. I mean, Seahawks are just better in almost every aspect, except quarterback. If I would say quarterback, I would very close, just because I don't think May's turnover prone. Like I don't see him like crashing and burning.
Right.
Like I could see him having a bad game, but not like a devastatingly bad game. Like Darnold is capable of like an absolute awful game at any time. He hasn't shown that this playoffs, and I hope he doesn't this game because I don't like seeing anybody choke on the big stage. It's just painful and sad to watch. But I would, if you were told me before the game that some quarterback was going to have a complete meltdown, it would be. I think it's pretty obvious which one you would choose.
Yeah. Who's your Super Bowl MVP pick before we get to our prop bets?
Yeah, May, because it's going to be one of these classic performances where the defense does all the work, but no one has a standout game on the defense. Like it's a team effort, so you can't like.
You would need like a pick six.
In reality, the whole defense should get the MVP. I mean, we've seen Super Bowls like that before, but everyone stepped up, so you can't really. Like, there's no Von Miller-like performance in Super Bowl 50 where he stood out. So then they'll just give it to the best offensive player, and I feel like May, given the short fields, will throw a couple touchdown passes, and that'll propel him to MVP.
Yeah, I think obviously this has become like a very quarterback award, much like so many other top awards in the NFL have become. So I think it's the best chances are May or Darnold. But I would say, yeah, if it's going to be New England that wins, I would say May has the best chance. Whereas, since I'm technically picking Seattle to win this game, I do think Jackson Smith and Jigba, if he can get multiple touchdowns in this game, if he can get 2 or 3, I think he has a really good shot at it.
Well,
He's at plus 550.
And I don't expect Darnold to have a flawless game. Like, even if Seattle wins, he'll still make a couple mistakes. This could very easily be like Super Bowl 56. I believe it was 56. Cooper Kupp winning Super Bowl MVP because Stafford played fine, but he had a couple turnovers, and Kupp had the 2 touchdowns, so Kupp won MVP. I could see that happening here with JSN if the Seahawks win. I am in complete agreement with you. I would probably take JSN over Darnold for MVP. One of those two.
Sprinkle a little on both.
Yeah. Or it could be a Malcolm Smith. Like, remember him?
Yeah.
Anybody remember him? Super Bowl 48. Seahawks Super Bowl MVP. It could be some guy no one expected.
Yep. All right. Give me I tried to write down some prop bets before we got on, but do you have any that you're like feeling pretty good about?
The Darnold interception, whatever it's listed at, I would take the over. Just, yeah. I like the May over touchdowns because he was over whatever his touchdown pass line is at. I would take the over because he didn't throw any last 2 weeks ago, and I think he'll throw a couple here given the short fields that his defense will provide for him. So I like the over there, and maybe that's just because I'm picking him to win MVP. So I would imagine he'd.
Yeah,
I don't know. I almost wonder if the under is the safer play on his rushing yards, just because now it's kind of been exposed that he is a pretty good rusher in the playoffs. So Seattle might be more prepared for that,
right?
And dare him to throw. So I wouldn't call this a lock, but if I had to pick, I'd probably go under on his Drake May's rushing yards, just because I think Seattle might be more prepared for that.
Yeah, I like Trevion Henderson to bust out one of those big runs that he's just famous for. His over/under for longest rush is 7.5 yards, so I will take that. It's only minus 130, but if you parlay that with something else, I think like a Sam Darnold INT. I am going under on Drake May's passing yards, and then I'm going under on Kenneth Walker's rushing yards. Believe it's sitting at 73.5. Again, I like the Patriots run D, so and with him having to take on more of the workload, I think they could wear him out. And then I got one more. I wrote this one down. I don't believe there's a line for this one, but the over under Chris Collinsworth to mention Patrick Mahomes.
I saw that
in this game.
Usually that it's a joke, but even if it wasn't Collinsworth, you would still probably expect the announcers to mention Mahomes, considering he's been in like 5 of the past 6 Super Bowls. So
right.
I feel like his name coming up would just.
Well, I'm thinking with these two very athletic QBs, I could see like a very improvisational play happen with either one of them. And then
that was my homie.
I can see it coming with that.
Yeah. What about coin toss?
Coin toss. Yeah, it's 50-50. But always with these coins when they use them for these big games, it's like there's not really a heads and tails. It's like one side's a football helmet, one's the NFL logo.
They'll call it heads and tails. Very interesting. Oh, go ahead. Do it.
Yeah, go. You're good.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see if the Patriots kick off to Rashid Shaheed. If you're looking for a real out there bet, you could always take kickoff return for a touchdown, just because he's certainly capable of doing that. Especially because teams are much less inclined to kick it out of bounds now, or kick it out of the end zone now, because teams get to the 35-yard line. So usually that's a bet. Like, usually will the opening kickoff be a touchback was like a lock for, yeah, it was. But now, likely, who knows? I think it'd be about 50-50, because if the Seahawks get the ball first, I don't know if New England would be interested in kicking off to Shaheed to start the game. They don't want a Devin Hester-like situation.
Um, is this a good Super Bowl matchup for what we've been given this season as far as the regular season? Who we thought would make it this far? I think our preseason picks were Buffalo and San Francisco. Ultimately, this is what we've gotten.
Same division. Same division. We got it right. We got it
We
right.
did. We did.
I do not, because both teams are in the corners of the country, and looking back at Super Bowl 49, why that one worked was because Brady was well known. The Legion of Boom was well known because they just won the Super Bowl the year before. So the two corners of the country, not like LA, New York corners. I'm talking, like upper Northeast Boston, big market, but not household market like New York or LA. And then Seattle was like all isolated by itself up there. So yeah, I mean, you have to have two really compelling teams, I feel like, to make this Super Bowl matchup interesting. And as a football fan, yes, it will be interesting. But is it good for the NFL Super Bowl kind of matchup? I don't think it is. I know it's been a weird season. I think it'll be a compelling matchup and fun to watch. But as a whole, I just don't. I don't know. I don't think
Yeah, I
it's
wonder how
great.
this one will stack up ratings wise compared to the last, since 2020. How it'll do there. But yeah, does it almost feel like Thunder Pacers NBA Finals? Like it's going to be good.
There's an
It's going to be good football, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's very similar to that. That's a good comparison. Difference is this is a rematch from 10 years ago, so it's not like these two teams are. I've never been to the Super Bowl before, but yeah, in terms of team wise, yeah, Seahawks were just kind of dominant all year, and we kind of acknowledged they were, but didn't really seem to care till the title game, and that's the Thunder. And then the Patriots are a team that's really not supposed to be here yet. They're young. Um, but here they are. In the finals or Super Bowl. So, and that's the equivalent of the Pacers. So, yeah, that's a great comparison. I never thought of it like that.
Super Bowl halftime performer is Bad Bunny. I'll be honest, not you know super excited for that. I just simply don't know his music as well. Um, and I wanted to pose the question of if you had the opportunity to pick anyone for the Super Bowl halftime performance, who would you want to go with? Because we've had some. I feel like we've had some pretty good ones the past this decade. There's been some really good ones from Kendrick Lamar to the hip hop legends. I think Rihanna had one. I don't know if Lady Gaga was this decade, but I feel like we've had some.
I think she was 51. I think she was the 28-3 Falcons
Oh,
Patriots.
okay. Yeah, so I've got a few listed, but you go ahead first.
The easy answer for this particular Super Bowl, the easy answer is Drake. That's the
That was
easy
my
answer
number one.
because of last year being Kendrick. So, um,
Drake
uh,
May.
So, I mean, the NFL's been somewhat diverse picking their halftime performances. We've had old school rap and hip hop with Eminem and uh, Snoop Dogg and Dre, but
Oh, so
and then
awesome.
recent we had Kendrick, and then they've had, of course, pop stars and Rihanna and all that. I think I don't know. They might wait for Nashville when Nashville gets the Super Bowl in a few years, but I think it's a time to try a country, and I'm not talking like banjo, like old country. I think like Post Malone and Morgan Wallen have been singing. I've been doing a lot of songs together. I feel like
Yeah.
that's like the perfect combination, and that like satisfies so much of the NFL's fan base music taste like 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 Bad Bunny, it does it. What they're doing with Bad Bunny is that they want to grow the game, make it more global,
It's
and
gonna be yeah.
I'm sure it'll be a very highly watched halftime show because of all of Latin America wanting to watch this. But is this really growing the game? Like, are any of these people tuning in to watch are they tuning in to watch the Super Bowl? Are they tuning in to watch Bad Bunny and then not really care about the NFL afterwards? Because that's how I see it. I don't. Sure, it'll be good for the ratings, but I don't think it's going to grow the game at all.
Yeah.
Um, whenever I think they're due to, I think of like a Post Malone, Morgan Wallen kind of halftime show where you're kind of combining pop and country. I feel like that would make a lot of people happy. Of course, there'd be some complainers, but um, I think they're due for that at some point soon. Maybe they'll wait till Nashville opens their new
Yeah,
stadium.
I definitely think that'd be really because like Post Malone lives here in Nashville. I don't know if Morgan Wallen does, but they obviously do a lot of stuff here. And then they could even throw in like Shabuzi to like
Yeah,
just have just like a perfect trifecta for that. I bet they'll do that for Tennessee for the Nashville one. Yeah, Drake was my first one for obvious reasons. That was just like huge catalog of songs. And then obviously just an answer for last year. Um,
yeah, and then
I
Kendrick again next year.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Then I also thought about just like the fact that like pop music seems to be like what everyone like it appeals to the masses more than maybe like that rap or country and stuff like that. So I thought like Miley Cyrus has never done a Super Bowl halftime show before. So I think that would be a good opportunity there. But then I also thought about Pitbull and the absolute bangers he could throw out at a Super Bowl halftime show. He's done a pregame show before, but I think they should save that probably for like a Miami Super Bowl from
Miami. I was
Hard
going to say,
Rock.
wait for Miami. That's going to be a Miami Super.
And so my last one I wrote down, I was trying to get a band, an artist that's from the Bay Area that would just be good for this game in Santa Clara. And Journey, they're actually from the Bay Area, and I thought with this year they're actually going on their final tour, their farewell tour that starts on February 28th. And I thought, well, they could get it started at the Super Bowl. That could be their first outing of their final tour. So that honestly was probably my favorite pick is to go with Journey.
Yeah,
Mix it
I
up,
like it.
go with classic rock for one,
Haven't
especially
for a while. Yeah,
exactly.
they haven't since the Super Bowls were in the like Super Bowl 40 something. Like it's been a while since they've gone that route.
Awesome. Well, yeah, obviously not super excited for Bad Bunny, but I think there's going to be locations in the future that where I think they can do some really good options for Super Bowl halftime performances. And I'm looking forward to the commercials. Hopefully we get some good ones. Hopefully Doritos comes out with a pretty good one this year.
I saw it's like
um,
$7 to $10 million for a
I
30-second
know
ad.
it's
So
crazy.
yeah.
Let's finish off this Super Bowl segment with a little draft. We're going to draft uh, 3 Super Bowl moments, greatest Super Bowl moments, and we're going to let the people decide who has the best team of moments, I guess you could say. So, Logan, I'll let you have the first pick for your greatest Super Bowl moments.
Okay, we can snake this so you can have the second and third picks.
Okay.
I am going with Super Bowl 42 David Tyree catch on the final for the game-winning drive for the New York Giants. Not just the catch was the improbable thing, as equally as improbable was Eli Manning escaping from a should have been sack and then just launching it down the field, and then obviously Tyree hitting that to his helmet and the ball never hitting the ground. Just an incredible play that ultimately then led to the Plaxico Burress game-winning touchdown. So, yep, that is my number one.
That's a good one. Obviously, that was pretty high on my draft board here. I'm gonna send it a little farther back. I'm gonna go with Mike Jones's tackle in the Titans Rams Super Bowl. Famous photo of Kevin Dyson, the wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans, outstretched arm with the football 1 yard away from a touchdown that would have won them that Super Bowl. But Mike Jones is the St. Louis Rams linebacker for them, was able to stop him just short of the goal line, and it's just a pretty famous photo in Super Bowl history. So that's my first pick for greatest Super Bowl moments. And then I gotta go the Malcolm Butler INT at the end of this
2 goal line stops in a row. I mean, I like it.
it was an unforgettable play. I wonder if Pete Carroll is going to be watching this game, and if Seattle comes out on top with a run play or something like that, that'd just be pretty hilarious. So obviously that one uh, snatching the Russell Wilson Super Bowl victory for the Seattle Seahawks and ending what could have been a dynasty in Seattle.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll call this a moment, but this was back-to-back drives in Super Bowl 43. Larry Fitzgerald's long touchdown to take the lead, and then the very next drive, Santonio Holmes' toe tap to take the lead. I'll call that. Can we call that one moment? Because I don't.
That's it. Yeah, you can keep it.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's one moment. Yeah, because just that Super Bowl was incredible, and those two. The Cardinals got the ball back, but not with much time after Holmes' touchdown. So essentially, those were the two last meaningful drives. And yeah, Fitzgerald's long touchdown run where he had a wide open run to the long run to the end zone, and then Antonio Holmes, Roethlisberger finding him in the back of the end zone for the toe tap to take the lead. Very memorable. And then I'll go way back, and I'll go with the Scott Norwood miss. Obviously, you hate seeing guys choke, like I said earlier, but it's iconic, and you can't really get any more iconic than that. It seemed like a fairly automatic field goal, and he hooked it.
Awesome. Yeah, and I was looking at trying to find some kicker props of just like missed field goals, because I swear it's just every game I'm seeing these kickers who have one job miss a field goal. My last one will be the Philly special. It's earned its spot in Super Bowl lore, where Nick Foles 1-yard TD grab from tight end Trey Burton off a reverse, 4th and goal just before halftime. I think that was just like one of the gutsiest plays I've ever seen in Super Bowl history, and just obviously just a moment in time for all Philly fans. So yeah, I'm going with Philly special. I had some other ones lined up. I like the lights going out in New Orleans.
I put that. That was on my list.
Niners and Ravens. Obviously, Vince Lombardi being carried off the field way back in Super Bowl II. The Devin Hester kickoff, the Colts and Bears. That's honestly the moment that I remember most from that Super Bowl, even though the Bears lose. Was the Devin
I
Hester.
was too young to process the Prince halftime show, because most people claim that to be like one of the best ever. So I did remember the Hester kickoff return, but I did see the Colts win, so that was good. I also had the James Harrison pick six on my honorable mention, because that was improbable. It ran out the first half clock, a 90-something yard pick six from a linebacker, not like a DB. It's James Harrison, who's known more for his sacks. Yeah, good. I've always thought the Philly special is slightly overrated, because people said that was just the most gutsy call of all time, and I didn't think it was, because they were up 3. It was 4th and short. They were up 3. So if they kicked the field goal, it'll still be a 1-possession game. I didn't mind them going. I thought going for a touchdown was the right decision. Like, people say, "Oh, wow, I can't believe they went for it." The play call was cool. That's what makes it memorable. But like the decision to go for it, I feel like, yeah, of course, go for it. You're not going to beat the Brady Patriots by kicking field goals. So
yeah. And then I had a couple others. I had the Joe Namath, the guaranteeing the win in Super Bowl III, and then don't hate me, Colts fans, but Tracy Porter's pick six on Peyton Manning, the Saints and Colts Super Bowl and Super Bowl 44. Sore spot for Colts fans there, but
yeah, but they deserved that after resting guys when they were 14-0. So
yep. All right. Well, we can't wait to watch the Super Bowl. We'll be able to dive into everything that happens on Sunday next week. But let's move on to the hardwood. And right now we've got trade deadline buzz happening. We've got plenty of trades happening recently. And Logan, I don't know if you've looked at your phone recently, but it is 7:07 Central Time. Breaking news: the Los Angeles Clippers are trading James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland and a second-round pick. Your initial reaction to that?
Harden's at this point. Harden's in that spot where he's he's one of the best players in the NBA. You do not want on your team. I don't.
And Cleveland giving up Garland? Like, I mean, I know he's been injury prone, but feels like he's like the engine that runs that team. Even though Mitchell is the primary scorer, when Garland's on the floor, it's a totally different ball club. We noticed that in the playoffs last year.
Yeah. I mean, Harden Mitchell is an interesting backcourt. That'll be kind of fun to see it play out for a little bit
Yeah.
till it becomes frustrating to watch. And yeah, I am not the biggest fan of this trade. I do like it for Cleveland. I mean, for Los Angeles, getting a dumping Harden because I mean they're not going to win. They don't have any chance of winning any title anytime soon with old stars like Kawhi and Harden as your best players. So get a little bit younger with Garland, so I don't mind it too much. So yeah, we just saw that break.
Yeah,
Else
I
today,
think the Clippers win that trade.
yeah. Else today, the Grizzlies are unloading most of their roster. They are trading Jaren Jackson Jr., John Concher, Jock Landale, and Vince Williams Jr. to the Utah Jazz for March Madness hero Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, Georges Niang, and 3 first-round picks. They're also rumored to be shopping John Morant at the time, and they are wanting to build, or let's see, they want their cornerstones to be Zach Edey and Cedric Howard, is what I saw. So a rebuild, but they do like a couple of their guys, and that's probably the right move because the rest of their guys have just been injury prone, and it's what was really promising ceiling a couple of years ago. It's just not worked out, and it's probably time for the Grizzlies to move on. I don't really know what the Jazz are doing here. Like 3 first-round picks. I mean, I know they have a lot. I know they have a
That's what the Mavericks should have gotten for Luka. Like this is for Jaren
yeah
Jackson Jr.
yeah. I thought the Jazz maybe could have used all those picks on a different guy because they had a lot. They had a lot to give up. Interesting trade there. Chicago, Minnesota, and Detroit. Here's a more normal trade. Have agreed to a multi-team deal that sends Jaden Ivey from the Pistons to the Bulls and Mike Conley from the Timberwolves to the Bulls. Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric are going to the Pistons, and Detroit receives a 2026 first-round protected swap from the Timberwolves. Pretty good trade for both teams. Bulls were looking for a more dynamic guard, and they get one in Ivy. The Pistons are looking for shooters to put on their already good roster at the moment, first in the East, and any shooting can help. Ivy's not really known as a shooter; he's more known as a scorer. So Kevin Huerter, decent pickup for them. I like this trade for a lot. I don't know if it'll help a lot, but I don't see any big negative
The
ramifications.
next one will add to that for the Bulls.
Yeah, and then they sent Nikola Vucevic and a second-round pick to the Celtics for Anfernee Simons and a second-round pick. Simons was pretty good for the Celtics this year.
Yeah,
I'm surprised, but
he was good for Portland too.
yeah. So I don't know. The Bulls have a lot of guards on their team now, so yeah, almost makes the Ivy trade a little worse. I don't know. Yeah, guess Josh Giddey will have to play center now. I don't.
lot of guards in Chicago.
Yep. So obviously, big names on the board being floating around are Giannis. We just saw James Harden being dealt, Giannis, and then of course it's this usual suspects. Every single big name who's ever been traded. It's always Warriors, Heat, Lakers, Knicks. It's always, and of course, article I saw. Those are the 4 teams, and most of the time it never happens. But for some reason, those are the only 4 teams who are ever involved in trade.
Percentage chance that Giannis actually gets traded before the deadline, or is this an off-season move?
I think 20. Like I said, there is a chance. We've been seeing rumors of a Draymond Green possibly being shipped out of Golden State, potential for Giannis. Saw that rumor being floated around. That could be interesting. Yeah, and then I've also heard Anthony Davis's name being floated around in trade value. Obviously, he's hurt. I don't know if he's going to be back this year. And I don't know why any team would want him because he's so injury prone. He's pretty much in that James Harden class at this point. Well, no, I wouldn't because he'd be good on a good team. If you put him on a really good team already, that'd be great. Harden, I feel like if he goes to a good team, that just kind of ruins it. I think Davis could still be good. You just don't want him as your number one guy. You just do not want him as your number one guy. So a team that already has an established guard play, I think Davis would be a decent trade pickup for them.
I just almost think with the Giannis, it's like he is such a generational talent. He's like top 4 in the league. I just don't know if any team has enough to give up or would want to give up everything that they've got. I feel like the Warriors would have to just give them half their roster, give the Bucks half their roster in order to get this deal done with Giannis.
Yeah, maybe they can finally get rid of Jonathan Kuminga, whose name has been in the trade rumor market for like 3 years. So.
They wish. Okay, so in the spirit of the trade deadline, we got that coming up in a couple of days. I thought we'd look at some of the biggest, most shocking, just biggest deals that have ever been dealt at the trade deadline in NBA history. Gathered up a list here. We can talk about them. Funny enough, they're all in the 21st century. Teams just didn't trade their star players back in the day, in the 90s and before. Obviously, leading off this list is the Lakers acquiring Luka Doncic last year. It's probably the most shocking trade in NBA history. Just not only like who's involved, or what the Mavericks got, or what the Mavericks got back for Luka, but also just when it happened. Like it was, I think I remember it so vividly. Like I was up really late. It was like 1 a.m. Central Time, and I see the alert come through, and I didn't think it was real. It's just still one of the craziest trades I've ever seen. I don't think anything will ever top that. I don't just the circumstances, the way they are, the way they were then. Yeah. Do you have any more thoughts to share on this trade
On the
that
Luka
happened last
trade.
year?
Well, they got. I mean, I woke up to it. I went to bed early that night, so I remember I woke up to it and had to do a double take. Yeah. So basically, Mavericks got Anthony Davis and Cooper Flag, and oh no, they didn't know they were going to get the first overall pick. Yes, they did. Everyone knows that. The NBA can deny it as much as they want. We all know that was a part of the trade. Yeah, I don't think anything will top it, and I think these NBA insiders are going to hype up the trade deadline for the next couple of years because of this, and it's going to be ultimately a disappointment.
Can we go back to when insiders weren't like TV personalities?
That was nice.
When did that happen? Like, why is
and they became analysts. Yeah, they should just be insiders. Like doing. Yeah, they're not analysts.
I don't know
why are they on. Why are they on segments talking about the game? Like,
but Shams Charania, Adam Schefter, they're like on these shows where they're like giving takes, they're giving opinions about teams and everything. I was like, just give us the scoop. We don't need you to be TV personalities.
No. Great point. Other trades in the past trade deadline, we got KD to the Suns in 2023.
That was
didn't like that one. Didn't like that one at the time, and turned out not to be very good. DeMarcus Cousins to the Pelicans in 2017. That was a big one because Cousins was a very good player trapped in a very horrible organization, and he went to the Pelicans with AD, and there was a bit of fun there. They made it to the second round, but ultimately,
Kentucky boys.
It's New Orleans. It was too big. It wasn't going to work, and it didn't work out. 2011, Carmelo Anthony going from the Nuggets to the Knicks.
Like that one.
That was a big one. That was a fun trade. Made to Carmelo to Madison Square Garden, where he had a few good years there. And then very impactful one, led to a couple titles, was Pau Gasol from the Grizzlies to the Lakers in 2008. Lakers definitely would not have been title contenders in the late 2000s.
Absolute steal. So the Lakers got Pau Gasol in a second round pick, and it was basically a Gasol for a Gasol, and then scrubs. The Grizzlies got Mark Kwame Brown, one of the biggest busts in NBA history, Javaris Crittenton, Aaron McKee, and 2 first-round draft picks. I don't know what those draft picks ended up becoming for the Grizzlies. Maybe Mike Conley the next season.
I don't know. I almost think he was already
Maybe
there.
not.
And then last year was also Jimmy Butler to the Warriors that happened at the trade deadline as well, which normally would be the biggest trade of the year, but
Would have
the
been.
Luka trade unfortunately happened for a few days before that, so it kind of lost a little bit of its luster.
Yeah. A couple hidden ones back in like the 2000s. The Sonics acquiring Ray Allen in 03.
Mm-hmm.
Sonics got Allen, Kevin Ollie, Ronald Murray, and a conditional first round pick, and then the Bucks got Gary Payton and Desmond Mason. So an old Gary Payton.
UConn legend Kevin
Kevin Ollie. Yeah. Always
Yeah.
forget he coached that team in
2014 team.
2014. Yeah, I always think about a Calhoun and then obviously now Hurley. But there was that team that Ollie took to the championship. 76ers acquiring James Harden in 2022. This is where the Sixers received Harden and Paul Millsap. The Nets got Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and Andre Drummond, along with some picks.
Yeah, that was a lose. That was a lose, and yeah, well.
And then Mavericks getting Jason Kidd from the Nets in 08. That would ultimately not pay off like immediately, but in 11, obviously being a big part of that championship team in Dallas.
Yeah, I would say the Gasol one was more impactful because they won 2 titles and Gasol's in his prime, but
Immediately too.
It's
yeah.
close to the level of that because they probably would not have won the championship if Kidd wasn't there, point guards.
And then the last one I had here was the Nets getting Darren Williams in 2011. Nets got Williams. Jazz received Derek Favors, Devin Harris, and some picks. I think this one was more popular because of the rift between Darren Williams and Jerry Sloan, the coach at the time for the Jazz, who had just absolutely their relationship had soured at that point.
And the Nets were just unbelievably awful at that time. If you recall, they were like 12-70 or something like that.
Remember what? I think it was like one of the first Brooklyn teams, and it was like Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Joe Johnson.
Yeah,
One of
that's
my
up there
favorite
for
teams, but they were terrible.
That's up there for worst trades of all time because it gave Boston a boatload of picks that ultimately ended up being Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, while the Nets. I don't even know. Did they make it to the second round, or I don't even know if they made it out of the first round with that core. I mean,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good trade by the Nets to get Darren Williams because they were just absolutely terrible. So that gave them a little bit of a spark for a little bit. But it didn't lead to much.
Yep. All right, that clears it up for the hardwood, our NBA segment. Let's finish things off with our campus corner. And we teased it at the beginning, but there was a huge matchup in the Big 12 between two of the top prospects in the game, Darryn Peterson of Kansas and A.J. Dybantsa of BYU. This game was at Allen Fieldhouse, one of the best college basketball venues in the nation. So this was, I mean, Darryn Peterson, I think, with his performance, and obviously, I don't know if you watched the game just last night against Texas Tech, came up absolutely clutch in that one. But in this BYU game, he lit it up in the first half. He ended up ending this game with 18 points on just 6 of 8 shooting and 3 of 5 from 3. And you think, well, he was doing so well in the first half. What happened? So he exited the game with about 3.5 minutes 3.5 minutes into the second half as BYU actually was able to storm back. They were down by nearly 20 points or more in that after that first half, and they got to within single digits. It was reported cramping that went on with Darryn Peterson, but it didn't look as though he was actively asking for help from trainers or had any urgency at all to get back into the game. And what this has become, it's been one of the biggest, most talked about narratives of this college basketball season, as Darryn Peterson continues to not be available for large stretches of this season for Kansas. And I want to get your thoughts on what went down in this game, what's going on with Peterson. It's just like we can't seem to get these get full games of a guy who's like, when he's on the court, he's electric. He's incredible to watch. He's just making shots that NBA players make, and I think he's obviously set himself apart and could potentially be that number one pick come June. Dybantsa did start to get things going in the second half, but yeah, just give me your take on this.
I think it was just a really good strategic move by Kansas because they knew they won this. They knew they'd already won this game against BYU, and they knew they needed all they could from Peterson against Texas Tech on Monday. And he did because he played he played 35 minutes, so he played the whole game against Texas Tech, and like you said, came up huge against them. He scored like 18, I believe, or he scored 19, but he hit 2 huge threes at the end of the game to tie it and then to win it for Kansas. So we saw, once again, we saw just how good he can be. But it was weird, yeah. Just 2 days ago, he was cramping really bad and couldn't play at all in the second half, despite being a plus 16 in just the first half. It kind of reminds me of Anthony Edwards in college, where there was kind of questions about if he really liked playing basketball. There was no denying his talent, but he didn't play too much with Georgia, and people were wondering, is he really first-round pick trustworthy? Does he even love basketball? And, of course, Edwards has put those questions to rest in his time in the NBA. So hopefully that's what happens with Peterson, because there's no doubt that he's a talent for sure. Definitely a first-round pick potential. I mean, Dybantsa, if he was awful, maybe put stock into it. But, at Kansas, defense will be focused on you. I thought he did well. 17 points, 6 of 12 from the field. Got it going in the second half, so he was able to face adversity and make it a close game. So I still think Dybantsa is my number one overall pick, just because of the questions that Peterson has about him. Dybantsa shows up every game and delivers every game. But it's close. I'll put it that way.
I think Peterson might be the most talented, but there are obviously concerns because this has been going on all season, and I think there's a few ways you can interpret this. I mean, there could be all of them. It gets worse as you go down the list of, this could be underlying health concerns. There could be other factors health-wise that that haven't been reported on that could be limiting his play time. There's little rumors. Part of it is his agent and or his father, as part of their plans, they pull the strings behind the scenes, with Peterson being like a likely top 2-3 lock in the NBA draft at this point, and seeing, trying to protect him going into the NBA. But I would hate that for him. And I hated it for this game because I wanted to see Peterson versus Dybantsa for a full 40 minutes. And then there's the fact that maybe he just has a low pain tolerance, and that would
maybe he really is hurt. Maybe
that NBA teams might want to question that before they go and pick this guy up. He could be a Kawhi Leonard load management type of dude. And then lastly, the thing no one is talking about, because why would you? You don't want to, is that he's involved in a point shaving scheme. But because it's so obvious,
it's so obvious
watching him. It's not.
Or they're playing really big mind games, and it's so obvious that we think, there's no way, but he actually is. So, there's multiple ways to dive into this, but that is a fun scenario, though.
Yeah. I know it's not that. I definitely would not want it to be that, but
those have mostly been small schools. Like DePaul was really the biggest named program that was kind of involved in that most recent bust, and it's because all these other guys at big schools are getting paid so much money in NIL and stuff that they really have no incentive from the mob to potentially rig games, because they're already making so much money. That's why you see some of these lower schools getting busted for that.
But with Peterson out for bulk of that second half, another guy stepped up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did. Hold on. Bryson Tiller showed out. Didn't he have 30 points? I forgot to look at the stat sheet after. I think he ended up with 30. So
I think it was 21, but it was. Yeah, I think that's what the. That's what I said.
Wrong.
But
nevertheless, he was shooting the lights out, and he kind of helped prevent any BYU potential comeback. It was Saunders. Saunders from BYU was the one who scored 30-something points. Yeah, that's what I remember looking at this. So yeah, Saunders also shot the lights out to help BYU claw back in, but it wasn't enough. Kansas at home at Allen Fieldhouse. It's tough to play in there, and we saw that.
So yeah, Bryson Tiller definitely turning some heads, not for his rapping, but for his play on the basketball court at KU, as another guy that could potentially now have just boosted his draft stock if he wants to go pro. That wraps things up for the campus corner. Let's finish things off with final word. One thing to watch this week. Well, we got Winter Olympics. I don't know if you knew that, but I think some of the events are actually starting tonight. We've got some alpine skiing, curling. I always liked the Winter Olympics growing up. I think when I was younger, I enjoyed those more. I just thought they were just such unique events, like downhill skiing, the snowboard, the half pipe. Shaun White, that was a big part of my childhood. But I think nowadays I definitely skew more towards the Summer Olympics. But I might want to check these out this week.
Yeah, because Summer Olympics difference is that you sometimes still see those sports not in the Olympics. Unless you're just an absolute diehard fan, you don't watch. Other than hockey, you don't watch any of this other than the Olympics.
Yeah. We've got the Waste Management Phoenix Open, always an electric venue at TPC Scottsdale. That's this weekend, so definitely tune into that. And then if you're waiting around for the Super Bowl, we always got the Puppy Bowl on. I think it's the National Geographic, or not the History Channel, or what's the Animal Planet? That's the one.
Yeah. Okay, and then my final topic is that it was just recently announced this week. Goodell had his press conference for the NFL. There will be 9 international games next year. We got Paris for the first time. I think the Saints will be the home team in that. Madrid, Rio de Janeiro again, Munich, Germany, 3 in London again, and then Melbourne, Australia. That's a unique one. And then December game in Mexico City. So I'm not really a huge fan of this many international games.
Who has to travel to Australia? Probably the Browns, isn't it?
That's the thing. And the start time, so they're going to have to start this game at like 10:30 or 11:30 in the morning, Australia time, to make it like prime time for the NFL. But that still doesn't make – they're going to have – I mean, it'll have to be a primetime game, because if they make it like a 1 o'clock game or something, it would be like way early. It'd be like 3 o'clock in the morning, Australia time. So, yeah, the time zone's all messed up for this. I think the NFL is just trying too hard. I don't like it. I don't like this Mexico City game in December. December football's too critical to be playing international games. I know Mexico City is the closest of any of these international games, but still, I mean, you got to play these games home and away by December. So I think the NFL is getting too crazy with this. Goodell did announce that the goal is to eventually have 16 international games, meaning that every team plays 1 international game a year, which I almost think is better than 9, because then it's almost just kind of
unfair for those.
Unfair to those who. So, yeah, you either just go none or go 16, and then maybe let's not do Melbourne. Like we've lived with the Europe and Mexico City and Rio. Like maybe just keep it that.
Like they the marketing for this is that they're trying to grow the game, but what this is really heading towards. There's going to be a whole NFL TV package specifically for international games. It's going to be through like probably NFL Network. That's where most of these games are put on anyway, and you're going to have to pay an extra fee to be able to watch all of these games, and I'm just not going to do it.
No, and within the next 20 years there will be a Super Bowl out of the United States. That's my prediction.
Do it in Riyadh like they had the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, that'll wrap things up. This has been the KNL Sports Huddle. For Logan Hubert, I'm Cage Kiplinger. May your bets hit, your team not choke, and your stress levels stay manageable. And we'll huddle up again next week.